Hello people, I am JABY KOAY. Joining me is ACHARA KIRK.
Hi.
We're in Thailand still. A number of people asked for a review of Logan. I was initially not gonna do it because I just thought that we would be too late and it wouldn't get any views. It still may not get that many views, but we're gonna do it anyway because a number of you were asking for it. All together. We'll start off with a non-spoiler portion and then we'll go into the spoilers. I like the film quite a bit. There were some issues that I found with it, particularly in the third act. I won't go into specifically what just yet. But overall, I think it was definitely one of my favorite X-Men films because it was very solid. It was well structured. It followed a very classic structure, I would say. For those of you who are screenplay writers, it followed the Sid Field structure very closely. It made it a bit predictable at times, but I didn't mind that so much because it was still a very solid film all around. The acting was really good. The script for the most part I felt was really good.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I felt like it was a great send-off for Hugh Jackman. It was great just kind of following characters that we know and love and watching them develop and grow older and the challenges that comes with that.
The acting was really good on Hugh Jackman's part. I enjoyed what he did, and Patrick Stewart was great as the older Xavier. I think that this role was definitely more of a challenge for Hugh Jackman than previous installments of playing Wolverine because he had to play someone who was more destroyed and beat up and dealing with an addiction. Those of you guys who are unaware, by this point I'm sure you are, this movie is rated R, and it's rated R for a good reason because it doesn't hold back on language or violence.
Yep.
It definitely, goes as far as it can with the R rating. It's like, well, we're gonna have an R rating, so we might as well take advantage of this.
I was pretty shocked in the first scene.
All the other X-Men films, or films dealing with X-Men characters, save for Deadpool, is PG-13. So it was definitely different. It's like you spend, what, 15, 20 years watching X-Men movies.
Has it been that long?
The first X-Men came out in 2000. It's 2017 now.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, that's how long it's been. So if you haven't watched Logan yet, I would suggest you do watch it. It's worth watching. Even though it's not a perfect movie, it's still a very enjoyable one. And I put it up there with, for me, I put it up there with First Class. First Class is probably my favorite X-Men movie besides Logan.
I love First Class as well.
Now we're gonna talk about spoilers. So that's what's coming right now. Here we go. We're gonna go into spoilers now. It was a very by-the-book script, so it was very predictable. For those of you guys have, I'm assuming you guys have watched it, the thing with the bullet came up, right?
You figured that out before I did.
Yeah, essentially we'll call it the silver bullet, right? It's the only thing that can penetrate the adamantium in Wolverine's body so that he could basically blow his own brains out. After you've discovered that one of the bad guys is a young version of Wolverine, and the bullet thing came up again, I knew it was gonna be used to kill him. And then the girl takes it, I'm like, I bet she's gonna shoot the other Wolverine.
Yeah, he literally turned to me in the theater and was like, yeah, so he's gonna use the bullet to kill X-24. And I'm like, ugh.
And then later on, when you see the gun on the floor, I'm like, she's gotta get the gun at some point. It's just like, you just know it's coming. She ran away only to run back to get the gun. The third act is something I wanna talk about before I forget. I didn't like how all the kids were running away from the soldiers who were definitely not mutants. It would be one thing if all the soldiers had their own mutant powers also, but none of them did. So I didn't understand why the kids were running away when they clearly demonstrated in the film earlier that when the Mexican nurses were helping the kids out, they were using their powers to mess up dudes just to get out of there. So I would have thought they'd use it again to keep them away. But like all of these kids combined, they were a formidable army. Yeah. Those soldiers stood no chance against them. So I didn't really understand what was happening, especially when they showed the one dude, the leader of the children, who's able to lift shit up and drop shit. I'm like, yo, like, this is ridiculous. He could just snatch their gun. I don't know what exactly his power was.
I think he's a Magneto son. Because he lifted the car. That's a totally Magneto move.
If that's the case, then he definitely should have taken their guns.
Yeah, right? I'm gonna argue, just for being the devil's advocate or whatever, that maybe because they're kids, they were scared. And when they were escaping from the facility with the Mexican nurses, they had the nurses saying, use your powers, like, help us. So maybe that's kind of why, but yeah, I totally didn't buy it either.
Not one Mexican nurse made it, by the way.
Oh, that's true.
Not one made it. That's not that important. That's more refrigerator logic. For those of you who don't know what refrigerator logic is, basically what it is, you know, you watch a movie, you're like, that was pretty good. You get home, you open the fridge to make a sandwich, and you're like, oh shit, there's that thing in the movie that doesn't make any sense. That's refrigerator logic. I was a bit shocked with the many uses of the F word in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, not that I'm like shy from the F word. I love The Departed, which has 270 uses of the F word, but it was just a little weird. Like it right away, I gotta say, the first act of the film was actually very, very well done because it established the tone of the movie. It showed where Wolverine was at. It showed where the world was at in the first 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
It was actually a very, very good opening. And it showed what mattered to him. This car mattered to Wolverine for some odd reason. And it put a question in here, like, why does the car matter so much? And it's because it's his livelihood. Now Wolverine's a limo driver.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? So that was a really, really well done opening. And it's when I say tone, what I mean is like it's established the violence of that you're gonna see throughout the film because he thrashed those dudes up and it was pretty visceral.
Yeah.
It was unlike any other X-Men film we've seen to date. Usually he's like killing robots or he stabs someone in such a place that's like you can kind of hide that in a PG-13 movie, but this was like, nope.
Nope. Arms, legs, heads, whatever.
Yeah. To the predictability factor, Patrick Stewart, when there was that scene when he has a freak out and everything is freezing, like the albino was frozen, he couldn't breathe, and Wolverine had to go and stab him with the needle thing.
Yeah.
Whatever, it's not even clear what that was. It's just some kind of.
I think it's some sort of seizure medication.
As soon as they did that, I was like, I know that's gonna come back. And because of the nature of this thing, because it's this uncontrollable thing, it's gonna come back at this moment where it's most needed, where shit's just about to go down in the worst possible way, and then he has his seizure thing again, where it just locks everything down. I knew that was coming, I just didn't know when exactly, and I didn't know it was gonna happen off screen. That was kind of a neat scene where he has to like. So to me that's interesting from an actor's perspective because you're pretending that shit is happening because all that shit with the camera work and whatever, it wasn't that magical. It was just vibrating. Most of the work was on the actors who were just like, can't move.
Oh, it was so cool when he came in and the soldier was at the door and he was just completely still, but you just saw his eye move.
Right.
And then follow him, and then he's like,
right, and just messed everybody up.
Kills them all, but they can watch, but they can't do anything.
It seemed like Wolverine looked to do more visceral executions in this movie than any other film. Because he was like stabbing people in the face all the time.
Yeah.
When he never stabbed anybody in the face before, ever. But here he's stabbing everybody in the face. I'm like, all right, movie, whatever. The film decided to be as realistic as possible. It completely deviated from anything previously established in terms of tone. And I don't mind that so much. It was just a little bit surprising. Looking back on it now, it's like I actually appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah.
Initially when I saw the first 30 minutes, Logan's saying fuck every 2 seconds, and I'm like, why is he talking like this? He's never spoken like this before. It feels like now that it's rated R, they're just doing this as liberally as they can just for the sake of it. But looking back on it right now, it actually makes way more sense for the kind of guy that he is. Wolverine is totally the guy that would say fuck all the time.
Yeah.
They just haven't done it up until this movie. I actually appreciate that now more looking back on it than I did in the moment. Oh, another great thing is the bad guy in the movie. There's a saying, and I don't agree with this all the time because Guardians of the Galaxy disproved it. But most of the time, your movie is only as good as your bad guy is. The Southern drawl bad guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name. With the hand. He was really, really good. I liked him a lot. He was a formidable bad guy. His acting was good. His boss didn't stand out to me as much though. The older scientist guy.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, he was alright, but the young Wolverine, X-24.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Good job on Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, well done, Hugh.
Yeah, doing both the older broken Logan and the super,
the Logan that we're used to.
The girl who played Laura, is it Daphne Keane?
Yeah.
I'd say she did a pretty good job.
I enjoyed her acting overall, but she was definitely very good at the non-verbal acting.
Well, yeah.
She personified all of the traits that you kind of associate with very Wolverine-like behavior. They definitely cast her really well. She could convey volumes with her eyes and her movements and all of that. Especially for a kid to play a role like that, I thought she did a really good job.
Yeah, her acting as this ferocious young woman was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Can I just say how much I enjoyed Patrick Stewart as older Professor X in this film? He was just so awesome. Like, he just captured that essence of Professor X, but also while being very old and on the point of being senile. He just seemed like your favorite uncle or grandfather with devastating superpowers.
You know, to that notion, they cut out basically most of the X-Men cast for this movie. That actually allowed us to have more interesting interactions, more focused interactions as well. The movie was very much about the relationship between Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman, and it was this father-son relationship, which I actually thoroughly enjoyed. It was like an indie version. This is basically what I predicted it would be. It's like an indie version of an X-Men film. Like, how would you make an indie version of X-Men? And this is totally it.
Yeah.
For instance, when Patrick Stewart eats the medicine, and Hugh Jackman goes, "I want to see that you swallowed," he goes, "Ah."
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen Captain Picard act this way ever. It was pretty awesome. I knew Patrick Stewart had it in him to do silly things that were awesome, just by
Family Guy.
Virtue of the fact that he's in Family Guy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there was a lot of great moments between them. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
And also when they became that little family unit with
the little girl.
Professor X, Laura, and Wolverine. It was just very cute. And you kind of got the sense of like, wow, they really could be one big happy family, but then it all went to shit.
I would have liked another version of this movie where that relationship lasted longer, but I guess there was nowhere else to go with it. It needed to happen the way it did to keep the story moving forward. But I totally would watch a movie about the three of them just
on a road trip.
Yeah. Like mutants on a road trip.
Yeah.
What would that movie be? It looks like it looked like it would be a lot of fun. In the last scene, I didn't understand what Laura was saying. I only inferred what she was saying based on the cowboy movie they were watching earlier in the film. I was like, I know this is gonna come back at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know how or why, but I have a feeling it's gonna come in the very last part of the film where someone says it to someone else.
When Professor X and Logan died, my brain just went, nah, they're gonna come back to life.
Well,
like, nah, this can't be it. Although, no, I think that was my brain. That was my heart. My heart was going, no, but I love them. They're kidding. They're not really dead, but they're dead.
My one big fault with the film was the kids running away from the soldiers, but my second big fault is the way the characters died. Is I didn't get a chance to appreciate them dying, particularly Patrick Stewart's character.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it felt like it just kind of happened and the movie just moved on, even though Wolverine buried him. I'm like, for some reason I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not hitting me the way I want this to hit me. This is a beloved character. He was actually really beloved just in the film alone. Like if this was your only X-Men movie ever, he was just a very lovable character despite his issues. And so when he died, I wanted to feel it more, but I didn't because of the way it was handled.
Yeah.
Because it was in the midst of like this action scene or something like that. Overall, I would still give the movie an A. At the worst, I would give it as a B+, because like I said before, the acting was great, the structure was great. Overall, it was a very good film. It just had some issues towards the end of the film. Oh, one more thing I didn't like.
Oh.
One more thing, last thing, and this is at the end of the video, is some of the visual effects I didn't care for. Like when Logan and Laura and Professor X were running away in the limo, and they beat the train, right?
Oh, yeah.
The train looked really fake. It looked like a CGI train. I'm like, I've seen a million trains in movies and it's never looked this fake before. I don't know why it has this kind of claymation look to it. But anyway, yes, I like the movie, and there you go. So those are my thoughts.
I like the movie as well.
Okay, cool. Even though you didn't say as much.
Yeah.
Because I have a tendency to just
talk
a lot.
That's alright, because you make valid points.
That you agree with?
Yes.
Okay.
If I didn't agree with you, I'd tell you.
Okay. Quick shout out to Nikki Friend. Thank you, Nikki Friend, for contributing all this time. Really appreciate it. You've been doing this for almost a year now. Thank you so much, Nikki. Really appreciate it. I'm JABY KOAY. Peace out.